Butch +5, I think, in the turnover margin right now. What's it going to take for this defense to kind of continue that as you get into these tougher games, conference games, and how important will that be to take the ball away in a game like this?
Yes, it's absolutely critical. And it all boils down to Maxim 1, the team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. And we talk about that every day. Obviously, we have a Maxim 1 period in practice, but we have to be able to be opportunistic, take the football away, but then also on top of that is what do you do once you generate the turnover? There's also sudden change offense. And that was an area last year where we struggled in being able to, again, football is a game of momentum, and I always talk about momentum plays. And every game comes down to 2 to 3 plays that can make the difference. But there's also momentum plays, and what do you do with the momentum plays? Do you give the momentum back, or do you capitalize on the momentum and build upon the momentum that you have? So we have to continue to be opportunistic, and then offensively, I believe we have 1 turnover in 3 games. We have to hang on to the football, and as we all know, we're playing a great defense. I believe they've generated 6 turnovers as well this year, and they're very opportunistic, so it's going to be a great challenge. But that's the formula for winning. Turnover margin is the number 1 statistic in winning and losing football games.
Butch, would you talk about the importance of getting a pass rush with the front 4 and also staying in the lanes, because most of Greer's rushing yards came off scrambles?
Absolutely. We've really stressed points on the quarterback, and just like having gap integrity in your rush defense, you have to have pass integrity too in your pass defense and in your rush defense. So again, maintaining the points on the quarterback. Will does a great job in terms of scrambling. He made some big plays for their offense last week, so that's going to be a challenge in and of itself. Then if Harris comes in the game as well, but we have to. And then you'd mentioned the ability to generate a pass rush with the 4 down front. That's what Florida has the luxury. They're able to do that. Whenever you can generate a pass rush with 4 down, it allows you to do so many different things in the back end of your defense, and we're continuing to work better from our standpoint in terms of our defensive front, continuing to improve that part of our defense. And when you're able to do that, you have so many luxuries of different things you can do in the back end.
Just how much does having a player like Cam Sutton help the offense prepare for Vernon Hargreaves? As Ani said, they're very similar.
Well, Cam Sutton's a great football player. He's a great competitor. Not only preparing for Florida, but he makes us better each and every day. When we talk about the competition and how do you get better, it's through your practice habits, it's through your style of play, it's through your preparation. Well, if I'm a wide receiver, every time I go one-on-one, I want to go against the best. I want to go against Cam Sutton, because at the end of the day, that's going to make you better. And you look at all the great football programs, when we talk about competitive depth, that's where it lends itself to, is in practice, and not only being a better offensive unit or a defensive unit, but it makes both sides of the ball better. When you're able to go, scout team periods, and you have individuals that are youngsters that are really good football players. Darrell Taylor has done a tremendous job all year from a defensive end standpoint on our scout teams. And the ability to have an individual like Darrell Taylor over there, that makes your offensive line that much better. So just that overall competitive component that Cam Sutton brings, but we have to continue to recruit and develop so we have a bunch of Cam Suttons.
Butch, field position, whether it's from turnovers or the return game, it seems like you've gotten pretty good field position this year. How important is that at a game like at Florida against that kind of defense where you don't have to go 80 yards?
Critical. It's going to be a field position game. It's going to be able to generate some 3 and outs, force turnovers, which we just spoke about, but also the special teams game. And we have a formula for winning with this football team, and that's why every football team is different. The formula in terms of playing winning football may not change, but your small details of your formula really adapts to the personality and style of your football team. And field position is very important. We started from day 1 in training camp of really trying to educate our players on the importance of field position and the percentages of scoring based on where you get the football. In a game like this, field position is critical. Now, again, it's just like the turnovers. What do you do with that field position? It's going to be as important.
I would say it's been well chronicled. This series often comes down to which team runs the ball better. What's your confidence level in your rushing attack now versus maybe going into the Florida game each of the last 2 years?
Our confidence continues to gain each and every week, and it's over a body of work. It's over a period of time, and we have great confidence in the ability to run the football, but it's also having patience in running the football. We're playing a very explosive, deep defensive front. And like we spoke about a couple weeks ago, sometimes a 2-yard gain is a positive gain. Sometimes getting the dirty yards, getting the dirty yard, or getting the ball back to the line of scrimmage. The thing you can't have is negative yardage football plays when you run the football. That's critical. And times where we've struggled running the football, we've had too many negative yardage football plays. When we've had great success running the football, we've really limited negative yardage football plays. So it really comes down to that in the run efficiency of 4 yards or more that we spoke about on Monday as well.
How was Danny O'Brien look this week in practice? And also, is everybody else that was expected to play from a health standpoint or whatnot, are they playing on Saturday?
Seth, Danny continues to progress. He will be on the trip. He will be on the travel roster. And he's progressing just like he has throughout the course of training camp. We anticipate him playing in the game. In terms of our health, Max Arnold continues to be more involved. Darryl Miller is questionable at this point in time from an injury that he had a couple weeks ago, so he'll be very, very limited. Alton Howard's another individual who, as the week progresses, we'll see how many repetitions he can give us. He's nursing some things, so we'll see as the week progresses. We still have, a few days left of practice, so we'll see a little bit more where we're at. I anticipate everyone being available and being able to play, but, it's a practice by practice, hour by hour situation when you head out in the practice field starting today.
Coach, you mentioned after the Oklahoma loss, your players needing to remember that pain to help drive them going forward. Are they using the 10-9 loss last year to Florida to drive them to avoid that disappointment and use that to, pull out a win this week?
That's never been brought up. Our players understand what's at stake. They understand the challenge that we're facing going on the road. First SEC game, hostile environment, very, 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 very talented football team. Very physical football team. It's going to be hot. All those elements they understand. The players that did play in the game, they understand the intensity of the game. They understand the physicality of the game. And that's probably been more than anything is just the overall intensity of the game, the physicality of the game, and, which we talked about earlier with Jimmy is just momentum plays. Momentum plays are so big in games like this, and every game's a big game from here on out when you're playing an SEC game. The thing that you'd like to when you're a little more established in your program is rely on the seniors. The seniors that have been through these games. So we start 3 seniors in this football program. So the experience, a lot of these individuals, half our travel roster is making their first trip to Florida, their first SEC road trip. Only 12 even accompanied us and played in the game a couple years ago in Gainesville. So there's still learning experiences. Missing Kurt Magid, even though he'll accompany us to the trip and he's at every practice and all that, but we're going to have to rely on the Brian Randolphs and, some of the youngsters, Jalen Hurd and Jay-Sean Robertson and individuals like that, competed in the game last year.
Butch, what have you seen from Preston this week? Is his success last weekend made him hungrier? I guess, what have you seen from him?
More confidence. It's hard to imagine Preston Williams with more confidence, but I think he's more confidence in his technique, confidence in the schemes, confidence in his assignments, and our older players do a great job of holding him responsible and accountable to our style of play and our habits, but Preston is eager, he's willing, he wants to do it, he wants to practice repetitions, he wants to work. Again, it's a body of work. Again, here's a young man who didn't have any training camp. So you have to pick your spots with him, the football endurance, that goes with it. He's very, very prideful, and he takes great pride in his performance, as do all of our players.
And what do you remember from 2 years ago? He committed to you guys, I think, on that Saturday when you guys were down in the swamp, and kind of what that means. And look, he's a big-time player then, and now he's able to be on the field, and kind of how that shows the evolution of your program.
Well, I didn't recall that he had committed on game day, so obviously we're very excited and proud that he committed to be a Tennessee Vol, and we're excited he's here. But it's again, everything is a relentless approach in building this football program, and the recruiting aspect of it, the style of play. You have to be relentless in all that you do, and we'll always continue to do that. That's part of our program philosophy, making great strides, but as we all know, a long ways to go. But we're excited Preston is here, and he's doing some good things for us.
Steve, Dustin, Nick in the back, Patrick. That's it.
What's the biggest growth you've seen in your offense, the biggest thing they've learned since that Oklahoma game that can kind of carry forward to Florida?
I think we gained some confidence. I think that the understanding of the why of field position, taking care of the football, understanding desperation defense. How do you attack in the fourth quarter when you have a lead? Dependence on each other, the importance for football stamina, the importance for fundamentals and details. You win with the small details, particularly in the fourth quarter, how you close out an opponent, all those things. And I was asked that question kind of, Steve, on the teleconference call, is it part of your players just having a killer instinct? Can you develop it? And I thought both, but you have to be in those situations to develop it. And then once you're in those situations, what do you take from those situations? How do you learn from it, and how do you move forward? And we need to move forward from it, obviously, and learn from those situations, because as we all know, this football team is going to be involved in a lot of close games coming down to the wire the rest of the season.
Coach Trey Salisbury, obviously he's a Gainesville kid. Obviously it hasn't worked out for him this year to be able to play. What's this week been like for him, but also what kind of value has he had for you guys overall as a student assistant?
First of all, he's had a consistency in his approach. Hasn't spoke too much about being from there or anything like that. And he's done a very good job of, taking from the playing field to now kind of with the whistle around his neck. And he does a very good job of getting around our players. He brings levity to the situation. He always has a smile on his face. So he's made the transition. And again, that's all taking care of our players and keeping them around the program. And he's done a very good job of earning the right to that. But I know his relationships with our players and all that, it means a lot to our football team.
Nick in the back, and Patrick and Chuck for the last one.
Butch, along the same lines, Devon Swofford had a short but really sweet career for his home state team, and it started down in Florida. Can you speak to some of the productivity he was actually able to provide in such a short career and how he's responded to his next step?
When you look at Devon Swofford's career, here's a young man that was a walk-on, and he starts in the swamp at the University of Florida. We had to put him in a challenging situation of playing nickel, had never played that position before, and he has an interception return for a touchdown. And we asked a lot of him, some maybe unfair, unjust to him, but it was where we were at in the state of the program. And he's an individual who's very prideful, very competitive, and he worked himself each and every day to be the best football player he could be. By the end of by the end of last year, he was one of our best special teams performers. And he was a true team player, would do anything and everything that you asked of him for the football program. And playing at the University of Tennessee meant everything to him. I still remember in the recruiting process of going through it with him and Malik Foreman and the different opportunities that he had. And he just wanted to have the opportunity to represent his home state. Very, very high character individual, and Devon will be successful in any endeavor he chooses because of his character.
Butch, with Jay Sean, has he looked okay in practice this week? Do you expect him to be limited at all? And if something does happen to him on Saturday, how close are a couple of those younger guards, Jack and Charles, to being able to go in there and
if anything happens to him.
Well, we fully expect Jay-Sean to start the game and play the entire game. He's had a very good week of preparation. You know, you have to pick your spots with him, but he's very, very intelligent. Today's another big day for him, but we fully anticipate him being ready to go. But also, you know, the continued growth and development of Charles Mosley is very, very important. And then also, Jack Jones has done a very good job. Jack has had a very good week of preparation. That's the thing that we see is we see all of our players continuing to develop and grow and get better. And that's a byproduct of the way we practice. I think it's a byproduct of the youth development. Venzel Boulware had the best practice he's had since he's been here yesterday. Chance Hall continues to grow and get better and better and better, and every repetition is critical, and especially for Chance, having those live game reps, even Jack, having those live game reps really, really helped him last Saturday because now they truly understand, you know, what it is to play in a real game. But I've been encouraged by the development of all those kids.
Looking at the film of this year's Florida team, do you see anything comparing it to last year's team that might be a concern for you this Saturday?
Yeah, everything. Great team speed, very, very good defense. They may be the best defense we've faced since we've been here, and they're very, very deep. They play 10 defensive linemen. They rotate them in. I think the addition of C.C. Jefferson, a true freshman, has really elevated that whole group's identity. I think the biggest change is they've always been aggressive, really, really like their linebackers. They really flow to the football. They're downhill linebackers, very, very physical. And then we all know about their secondary. It's well documented. And, you know, when Jimmy brought up the ability to generate a pass rush with 4, they define that. You know, they can play man coverage. It allows them to double cover. It allows them to do so many different things in the back end because they can generate a pass rush with 4. They do some good things schematically. And then offensively, you know, I think Greer continues to settle in as their quarterback. He can make plays with his legs. He's got a live arm. And they have good skill. And they do some different things schematically that create formational advantages with leverage sets and personnel groupings that we have to do a great job. So they're a good football team. Obviously, we always look at special teams, and they're very athletic and have very good team speed across the board in all 3 phases. So it's a challenge in and of itself, but I know we're looking forward to that challenge as well. It should be a fun game.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.